Hello everybody, I wanted to make a quick video and let you know about the PI Guy retainer calculator. I am now releasing my retainer calculator out there into the wild for everybody to be able to use. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through what the retainer calculator can do and how you use it. The premise behind the retainer calculator is to be able to allow you to make sure that you get 100% retainer up front that's going to cover the entire cost of all of your investigations. I'm always telling people to get everything up front, and I know that it is difficult to be able to calculate all of that up front. I spent a lot of years working on this and trying to get it perfected to where it works for me very well, and I wanted to be able to share this with you, of course, as well. So what this calculator will do is it's going to give you pricing for 1, 2, and for 3 investigators per case. It's going to include things like travel time, like mileage. It's going to include video editing time, report writing time, and case management time. These are all things that are really easy to be able to forget to mention or calculate when you're thinking about the retainer for a client. So you want to be able to make sure you have a way to be able to do it. So it has a lot of different options in there. So let's go ahead and let's jump over to the computer and I will show you the PI Guy retainer calculator. So here we are in the PI Guy retainer calculator. As you will notice, this is in an Excel spreadsheet. So you need Excel or another software that will run Excel spreadsheets and run the calculations. There's nothing real major in the calculations. It does get a little complicated, but it's not doing any high-end trigonometry or anything like that. So the first tab is the instructions tab. And you'll notice on here it tells you all about the license, and I'll let you read that. So as you scroll down, you're going to see it's going to tell you on the calculator data tab, this one right here, it's going to tell you what all of the different things are on there, and I'm going to go over each one of those for you. And then it's going to talk about the PI retainer calculator tab, this one right here. That's where all the magic happens. That's where it shows you the potential retainers, and it tells you all of that. So there's very detailed instructions with it as well. I am going to be going over it all in this video. So let's go ahead and let's get started, and let's go down to the calculator data tab next. Here is the calculator data tab. In here you will enter anything in any of the green fields. That's one of the keys in here, is any of the green fields you are going to be able to enter data into. So up here you will enter your regular hourly fee. I have a default at $125. Next is going to be what you pay your subcontractors. How much do you pay a subcontractor? $50, $75, $25, whatever it is, you put it in there, because this is also going to calculate what your estimated profit of the case is if you subcontract everything. And then it's going to have what you charge for your mileage, 65 cents a mile, and how much you pay a subcontractor per mile. And I have these different because there may be some cases, I have some clients that will not pay mileage, but I have negotiated with my subcontractors that I do pay them mileage. And that's why sometimes there's a big discrepancy here, because I may not be charging my client for mileage or for travel time and things like that, but I'm paying for that. This field right here, this is where you enter the markup percentage you want for special cases such as night surveillance. Now, when you get over on the PI retainer calculator, it tells you it's going to show it as a whole number. So if I put in 25%, that means I'm going to mark it up 25%. Over here, it's going to show it at 125 to be able to do the calculations right. In here, this is where we estimate the amount of video and report writing time per every 8 hours of field work. And I always have this at 2 because I've done a lot of surveillance, folks. And I know when I go out, on the average, I'm going to have, whether it's 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or an hour of video, I am going to spend a good deal of time editing that video and writing that report, pulling those photos out of the video. Is it always 2 hours? No. It might be 1 hour, it might be 3 hours. But when I average it out, it always averages out to about 2 hours. I also estimate 2 hours, again, for every 8 hours of field work for case management time. And this is for those things that, again, we always forget to calculate in. Those things such as doing background checks on somebody, doing some research, going on Google and looking at the neighborhood, things like that, and all of that time that you're talking to your client, texting with your client, and different things like that. So essentially, for every 8 hours of field work, we're going to charge them an additional 4 hours of backroom work, if you will, because all of our hours, all of our time worked is the same value. If I'm writing a report and I'm editing video and I'm not charging for it, well, I'm losing money. I could be out doing surveillance. I could be out working a case and getting paid that time. Now down here is where you enter a percent to discount for a second investigator. This is only for the second investigator. The discount does not apply to the first investigator. That's something to keep in mind. And here you would enter, if you're going to have 3 investigators, a discount for the second and the third investigator. Now, if you notice, I have these at 0%. I do not recommend, folks, I do not recommend that you discount for a second investigator or even for a third investigator. I just don't do it. The value of a surveillance investigator is the value of a surveillance investigator. But I understand that there may be occasions that you may want to do that. It may be simply that's the only way you get the case if you're able to do that. So I have that in here so you can figure out that as well. So now we've got all of our data in here. Let's hop over to the PI retainer calculator sheet. Okay, here we are in the PI retainer calculator. This is where all the magic happens. All of these green fields down here, you can edit any of these green fields in here. These you cannot. This is for 1 investigator. This area is for 2 investigators. This area is for 3 investigators. Now we're going to go through everything really quick. Right here, remember we talked about that special case, if it's a night surveillance or something like that? Well, you can put in a Y if it's a special, and it's going to mark it up the 125%. Remember, over here on the calculator data, we put in 25%. But here it shows it at 125. You can't edit that. If you try to edit it, you're going to get an error because you can't edit that. But if you don't want it, then you just put no in there. Most of the time you're going to say no, but sometimes, especially with night surveillance, we do mark it up. So now down here, there are option 1, option 2, and option 3. And you'll notice this in each one of these. There's option 1, there's option 2, and there's option 3 in the calculators. This is where we're going to put how many hours per day of field work. And I'm going to use surveillance for all of this because that's more commonly what we're going to do out there. So we're going to say an 8-hour surveillance day for option 1. This does not count travel time. This does not count mileage. This does not count video editing time, report writing time, or case management time. Just the time in the field. And then the numbers below are for how many days we're going to do this surveillance. We're going to work 1 day, 3 days, 5 days, or 7 days. Now, with the 1 day, we don't need to put anything in there because if you look up here, it already says it's going to be 1 day. It knows to calculate just 1 day based off of the 8 hours per day. But if I want to give a quote for 3 days, I'm going to give a quote for 3 days, 5 days, or 7 days. And that's kind of where I start with all of my clients. I'm going to give them the 3-day option on a surveillance. But I can put in however many days we're going to do the surveillance. 3 days, 5 days, 7 days. If you want to do 1 day, 6 days, whatever, you put it in there. Over here, I put in my estimated daily mileage. So this is both ways. So 60 miles, both going there and coming back. So that's 30 going and 30 coming back. That's the total estimated daily mileage. And an estimated travel time. So if you're in the city, you're driving 30 miles, it very well may take you an hour. So when here we have, and this is what I have found again as a good average to use, 60 miles a day and 2 hours of travel time a day. And then again down here is the estimated contractor daily mileage to be paid for and their travel time. And again, I have this separated because sometimes I might not charge the client for this. Now, I highly suggest you always do, but it may be one of those national firms or one of those insurance companies that I contracted with a long time ago and we just don't charge it. So I might have 0 in here for all of this for me, but I still pay my subcontractors for that. Now, if you come up here, we're going to look at option 1. It's got the 1 day, the 3 day, the 5 day, and the 7 day at 8 hours a day. This is the estimated retainer, and I have a rounded up number. So I would be quoting a retainer to the client of $1,800 for 1 day. I usually don't do 1 day. I usually will start at 3 days. Mr. Client, we can do 3 days of surveillance for a retainer of $5,400. And what that $5,400 gets you, Mr. Client, that's going to be 8 hours in the field of surveillance. That's also going to include all of our travel time, all of our mileage, all of our report writing time, video editing time, and any case management time. That is an all-inclusive price for the 3 days of surveillance. And if the client is saying, oh, I don't know if I need 8 hours a day, well, we can get this done for 6 hours a day, and the retainer would be $4,300. Or we could just go out and do 4 hours every evening on that, and that's going to be $3,000 for 3 days. Over here is where it calculates your second investigator. Again, it has 1 day, 3 day, 5 day, 7 day, based on the information that you put here. Remember, based on this information, based on the information that you put in over here. Then you're going to have that same 3 days for one investigator. The retainer is going to be $5,400. The retainer for 2 investigators is going to be $10,800. Again, it's just doubled. And if you come over here, it's $16,200 for 3 investigators. Again, just 3 times what this is, because we put in 0%. Right up here you'll see the 0% discount. That means there's no discount, and I don't recommend the discount. If you come down in here and you put in a discount, and let's say you're going to give that client a 10% discount, you put in the 10, you come over here, and now that's $10,200 instead of $10,800, but you just gave away $600. And it shows the 10% discount right up there. Now this column here, this tells you with a $5,400 retainer, if you sub out all the work, you're going to make $3,783 off of that. So that's calculating everything that you're going to pay the subcontractor, and this is what's left for you after that. It's going to do the same over here on the 2 investigators or on the 3. This is important if you're subcontracting, and even if you're not subcontracting right now, it is good to be able to look at this so you can tell as your business is growing what your capabilities really are. So there you go, folks. That is the PI retainer calculator that I use, and I have been using this for years, and I have been tweaking it, and I have been developing it for a very, very long time, and I want to make it available to everybody out there. So I'm selling it on my website. It's not going to have a high price tag on it, but I'm also going to leave a discount code. It's going to be good for a limited time. That's going to get you a really good discount on this if you want to get it for your business, and then you can start calculating your retainers like a pro.